Gauteng Transport MEC Jacob Mamabolo is on a mission to transform the province's taxi industry into a smart, gun-free sector. Now, this follows consultations with taxi associations in the Vaal region, where tensions have been rising between two rival associations disputing a route in the Emfuleni area. Elsewhere, the Provincial Transport Department has appointed an administrator to assist with running the affairs of the recently disbanded Mamabolo Amalgamated Taxi Association. A new executive will be voted for in 3 months' time, we're told. Now, will these efforts result in a taxi industry free of violence, and when can commuters expect a regulated, subsidized taxi industry? For more on this now and many other related issues, joined via Skype by Gauteng Transport MEC Dr. Jacob Mamabolo. MEC, thanks very much for your time and welcome to the AM Report. Before we get into the new interventions, so to speak, let's talk about what you have done already to get us here. One of those interventions came in the form of an inquiry looking into taxi violence in Gauteng, where you yourself testified in December last year. Are you happy with how things have progressed on that front?
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning to you, to all the viewers, and thanks for the opportunity. So firstly, just on the Commission of Inquiry into Taxi Violence, let me confirm that the Commission is hard at work, unearthing and bringing out the root causes of taxi violence, and it's engaging with various stakeholders, and we are very delighted that people are coming forward. We are getting, information that I think will definitely achieve our objective, which is to lay the firm basis for the taxi industry to rid itself of the guns, of the killing culture, of the law of the jungle, of an environment that is also alienating people that potentially work with the taxi industry to turn it around, modernize it, transform it as investors. So the culture of violence in the taxi industry, the killings, the gun culture that is tearing the taxi industry apart, is exactly what the Commission is getting to the bottom of, and we're quite confident that this very first critical step, and the most important one, we are on the path and paving the way for a much more smart, much more dynamic, successful model of what will stand out as true, real black economic empowerment.
Yeah, and we'll get to what you mean by that in just a moment. But first, can you give us a sense of when the Commission is likely to have the report out? Because my understanding is that it's been almost a year now since it was commissioned.
It has been almost a year, but remember, in the planning, in the time allocated, in the period, we have obviously not built in the period of COVID-19. And we will have to get a report from them about just how this has impacted them. As you know, it's not long that they've started, almost a week ago or so. So to that extent, we will announce, and the Commission itself will announce, once we have looked at what really is work still outstanding, and the time and the real days, real hours lost. How are we going to recoup that? But I must say, the Commission on Taxi Violence is really a groundbreaking, very remarkable and positive intervention that I'm quite sure is setting us on the renewal path of the taxi industry.
Yeah, well, I guess, MEC, the proof is in the pudding, isn't it? But you're also asking for a smart, gun-free sector. More interested in the former term. What do you mean by a smart taxi industry?
So a smart taxi industry, its features will include the following. Firstly, gun-free. In other words, if there are problems, we sit around the table, we negotiate, because the entire world, the entire globe, models, and it marvels actually the fact that our country is one of the best that has demonstrated what negotiations can do. The smart taxi industry must put aside guns. It must replace that and put right at the square of dealing with the challenges, the negotiating table. So that's one issue. The second issue about a smart taxi industry is the one that will actually work almost, if you like, on corporate business principles. And that is where the taxi industry will be taking its rightful place in the economy. And that will also include exploring particularly the value chain in the automotive sector, petroleum. Then we're now talking about the fourth industrial revolution, smart mobility in the context of vehicles that are sensitive and alive to greenhouse gas emission, to climate change. We're looking at a taxi industry that will be able to get itself directly involved into business initiatives, into the finance sector, into key sectors of the industry. We're looking at a taxi industry whose drivers will undergo cultural change through basic teaching and education on smart driving skills, respecting commuters, wearing uniform, changing the look and feel of the taxi industry. A smart taxi industry is the one where its infrastructure, taxi ranks will be commercialized or turned into commercial centers. Smart taxi industry will also include an industry where we will see leveraging of smart technologies, and in this case, we're talking about the integration of the taxi industry with Gautrain, with the buses, with the BRTs, with the municipal buses. And to that extent, we are going to see the introduction of an electronic smart card, which will be a commuter card, which you can use, and it will have interoperable capabilities. You can use it in any mode of transport. That will also lay the basis and create the best necessary condition for a commuter-based subsidy, in which case then,
it sounds great,
basically, I was saying, this is a...
I get what you're saying and what you're pointing towards, and it sounds great on paper, but I can almost just hear the critics
not on
saying
paper.
that it almost sounds like we're building castles on air. I mean, if you can't get the industry as a start to at least not have incidents of violence where people are dying, I mean, to get to a point where drivers are engaging in smart driving, to some people might sound like a bit of a stretch. I mean, very, very quickly, because we are out of time, how much of a buy-in do you have from the industry itself?
We have a buy-in. Remember, we had a very successful, provincial taxi summit that we held on the 24th and 5th of July last year. So there is a buy-in. Just tomorrow, I'm meeting again with the Provincial Taxi Association, GNTA Santiago. We are taking stock of the journey we have traveled since the July summit. So to that extent, there's buy-in. But I just want to say to you, when we put ideals on the table, when we put objectives on the table, we should be inspired to start working the journey. So what I'm saying to you is the things we're putting on the table, really, there's nothing like a castle in the air about them. We have started. We said we need a commission of inquiry as the first step. The commission of inquiry is there. We said we need to start dealing with taxi violence. We are making progress every day, and the taxi industry is cooperating. We have said, so the journey has started. We have not yet arrived, but our ideals are so good that they are just inspiring us and putting us together. We will reach that destination.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. Woefully out of time. I have to thank you there. Thank you for weighing in. Gauteng Transport MEC Jacob Mamabolo there. I wonder what you make of his plans and interventions. Make sure that you weigh in at Newzroom 405.